Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Donjo number 1582 surface bolt. This is the bolt in a stainless steel finish. It's available in satin chrome as well, which would be substantially less expensive than something made of solid stainless. So it is available in a 626 finish as well. That's going to be a steel-based product. It wouldn't be made of brass, but it will most very surely look like satin chrome, and stainless for that matter. However, the base material is inherently different. When it's 630, it means it's stainless steel, and that would be exceptionally appropriate for an exterior application. So what is the 1582? Well, it's a surface bolt, that's to be sure. Let's take a look at this surface bolt. Okay, this surface bolt is different than other surface bolts in that it permits you to padlock the bolt in either the locked or the unlocked position. Okay? So when you throw this bolt, it's obviously going to travel. This will stay fixed, of course. Yeah, sure, we can emulate that. Hold both of those pieces. Lock it in the locked position, unlock it in the unlocked position. You might want to be able to control who can lock that door. You might say that door is to not to be bolted for whatever reason. Certainly locking it in the locked position makes sense. A reason to lock it in the unlocked position might be because ownership just wants to be able to control, let's say, a landscaping shed that otherwise you'd have to walk around to unlock it. During normal hours, you want to be able to permit access to this area without somebody bolting it, thinking that it's the proper thing to do. You might also have an application where you need to permit the flow of traffic in such a way that nothing can lock the door during a specific amount of time. I'm thinking of perhaps an unusual circumstance where the authority having jurisdiction would permit the use of such hardware on a door that would otherwise need to be unlocked during business hours, but to be done so in such a way that it cannot be locked during business hours, because unlocking it in an emergency would be a knowing act, and that would be something certainly not permitted. I can't think of an application where I know this has been used to prevent a door from being locked during business hours, but I can imagine how I might see that somewhere in the world. So if you need to control it in a locked and unlocked position, this would be great. This is all stainless steel, at least this bolt is. I don't think there's anything made of steel on this at all. My magnet tells me, while stainless does pick up magnetic properties when it's machined and worked, there's nothing steel here at all. Really nice looking bolt. It's substantially more expensive than satin chrome because that's going to be a steel-based item most definitely. But if you need something, if you're in a coastal environment or you want something that's going to give you the best amount of corrosion resistance, this would certainly far exceed the satin chrome version. They shouldn't. I don't have one here to put a magnet on it, but given the cost, it could not be brass. They should not call it, Donjo should not call it 626 because that means it's made of solid brass. It would be better to call it 652. That means satin chrome over a steel-based material. I suppose it is possible to be solid brass, but I'm sure that it's not. Now, let's take a visual tour of all the items. Let's throw some dimensions on everything as we go along the way. Overall length of the bolt portion, 8-inch. And this would be considered an 8-inch bolt. The amount of projection is going to be the distance between this mounting pad here and that restricting pin. And let's put a tape measure onto that. So you're going to be able to have every bit of 1.25 inch projection on that bolt. Okay, so when you throw it, the bolt will be up or down 1.25 inches more, okay, than standard. Okay, the bolt size, overall width of the bolt head itself about 11/16, and a thickness of about 1/4 inch solid stainless steel. Total projection to the end of the knob looks like we're about 1 3/8, 1 5/16. Moving through, this is going to include 3 strikes. 3 strikes. This will give you all of the strike plates necessary to install this any way that you see. This piece here, interesting. This is not going to be magnetic, but this is not stainless steel. This is brass, and I can tell by the way the material looks on the backside. This is a piece of cast brass. Certainly making me second guess my theory on whether or not that material, that 626, is made of brass or steel. This might be steel. Oh, it's not. It's not ferrous. It could be zinc. Well, it's not ferrous, that's for sure. And the final strike, I'm going to say that's brass as well. So it's all non-ferrous. Okay, let's go over these strikes now. You have a Mortise Strike. That's what this one's called. The 3 strikes that you have, you're going to be able to install this any way that you can imagine. Anyway. And I'll give an example of each. A Mortise Strike could very easily be used in an application where you've got a wood door and a wood frame scenario, and you're mounting the bolt on the push side and you're going to bolt it up into the wooden header. You would want a Mortise Strike to mortise up into the header. Same scenario if it's being installed vertically or horizontally in a push side application. Overall length of the Mortise Strike, 2.5 inch. Overall width, about 7/8. That thickness of that's probably about 90 thousandths, just light on 1/8 of an inch. Then you have got an angle strike, and an angle strike would be really appropriate for you to use when you're doing a rim application. Let's say you're going to bolt 2 doors together. Well, you're going to surface mount this strike, you're going to surface mount this bolt onto the face of the door, and that's going to be your installation. Okay, you might need to, let's take a look. Oh yeah, that's fine. That'd be an application like that. Any way that you might imagine how to use an angle strike is how you'll end up using it. Overall length of the angle strike, 2.5 inch. Overall width, about 7/8. Overall projection, about the same, 7/8. Then you have what's called a rim strike. Same sort of, and that angle strike could probably, it could certainly be used on a push or a pull side installation. That really wouldn't matter at all. Again, however you're going to end up getting it to work is what you'll use. A rim strike, however, would be very commonly used on a pull side application, single door, where you're going to mortise this into the frame. Well, it would actually look like this. Okay? This all is going to be mortised into your frame. That would be your installation. Obviously, some substantial prep work would have to be done to the frame for that. Overall height of the rim strike, 2 inch. Overall width, about 2 3/4. That thickness, again, it's all going to be about 90 thousandths. Okay? It's all non-ferrous so far. These screws certainly appear to be stainless steel. Yeah, there's nothing magnetic here at all. So you're going to get screws for everything. You're going to get wood screws. You're going to get machine screws for everything. The only thing you're not going to get are going to be through bolts. That can be arranged. We could do a set of through bolts or sex bolts for this. That would be something you need to reach out to us for so that we can arrange that. They do sex bolts when it comes to their crash chains, so I don't see why that could not be adopted to this sort of scenario in terms of it being non-ferrous based. That might be more than asked than can be delivered. through bolting something obviously is very good, a very good idea. And if you expect to have substantial forces placed on the door in either direction, you might want to consider that right from the get-go. Especially when you're just dealing with the screw withdrawal strength of a wood screw, or, you know, these very fine machine threads. If your steel door or steel frame has not been reinforced to be drilled and tapped, you know, you might want to consider through bolting it right from the very beginning. There is a link below this video to a document called Installation Instructions. So that document's going to give us all of the dimensional properties and shows us how to use an angle strike. That item that I called a mortise strike, they call a floor strike. Sure, absolutely, you'd put that down onto your floor, or maybe the top of your threshold. Probably not the top of your threshold, but you know, this could certainly go into the floor condition. That rim strike they don't show anywhere. Instructions for top and bottom bolts. Determine on which side of the door you're installing the unit. Prepare the door for bracket assembly screw hole location. Attach bracket assemblies. The bracket assemblies are these mounting pads, these two pieces here. Align strike with bolt and attach to door and frame. They're not telling you where to locate this first mounting point from the door, side, top, bottom. You're going to need to be mindful what your projection is going to be and what condition you want what position you want the bolt to be in the unlocked position. So you'll need to place that on there and test it and do a reality check to make sure that that meets the requirements of it getting physically installed. Okay. Bracket for padlock, bolt shown in locked position. Okay, and that's included with the paperwork, and it's linked to down below. There is a link also as well to the template that is going to give us all of the dimensional properties of everything beyond what I've given. Oh, yeah, it'd be really nice to know the inside diameter of where you're going to place the padlock. Very helpful to know that dimension. ID of that hole. They've got it at 3/8 or 0.375. Yeah, the caliper's telling me 0.374, so that's good. Let's put a dimension here. Overall width of that, about 1 1/8 on the outside. Inside, about 7/8. Okay. That ought to help you determine exactly what size of padlock you'll need to make this all work. Okay. Rest of the technical dimensions are there. There's also a link to the product catalog that will allow you to review not only all of the Danjo products that come into play when it comes to bolts, but the ancillary products to it as well, such as roller latches. Bolts and latches, they stick into the same category. Magnetic catches, keyed surface bolts as well. That's nice. Don't need a padlock. They have them that are keyed. There is also modern style surface bolts that are there, decorative surface bolts, Dutch door bolts, roller latches are there as well. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Danjo products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Danjo, this is their part number 1582 surface bolt that you can padlock, or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.